Welcome into the Desert Vibe, yet another episode. It's been going extremely well, and a big thank you to everybody that's been tuning in and listening, watching across all the various platforms. This podcast has been a blast to do, and I'm really thrilled that we're going to be dealing with an aspect of the Valley music scene today that we really haven't dealt with a ton. We've had promoters on, we've had venue owners, we've had musicians. We haven't really gotten into the studio scene a whole ton, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Sean Cooney is with us, and he's a recording engineer and owns one of the premier studios here in the Valley, Three Leaf Recording. Which are you in Sunny Slope? Is that where you're at over there?
We are in the heart of Sunny Slope, yeah.
Great, great. I probably passed you on my way to a meth lab at one point.
Yeah,
but
well, you
just
miss.
kidding. They've gentrified that area greatly, but that actually is a pretty cool part of town, and there's a lot going on there right now. But you have had the great fortune of recording with Walt Richardson, of shepherding him through the process, and that must be painstaking. Would be my you must need to mentally get in some kind of a zone when you're dealing with that. So, having said that, Walter, I'm going to hand the reins over to you, and you can talk to your friend Sean about everything he's done, and you have first-hand information.
Well, okay, thank you
Well,
very much
before you
for
do
that.
that, Glenn, let me just say, in regards to your comment, Walt and I go back, I don't know how many, 30 years, great friends, and he knows how much I love him. But I can say that he is not a quick recording artist.
See, I never talked to him about this, but he just gives off that vibe that he would be that guy. You know the one I'm talking about.
Is he always getting on the microphone saying, "Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How's my
Yeah,
sound?"
this thing. Is this on? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready?
All all right, this turning into a roast right now, and I don't mind.
Walter?
I don't mind being the target. Hey, people out there and in here, I'm Walt Richardson. It's a pleasure to be here on the Desert Vibe podcast, and then we have our other host. What's your name over here? What? Who are we
She'll
talking
give
about?
you a card.
I'm Jamie Ray with the
Uh,
Blindsiders.
yes, indeed, with the Blindsiders, and Sean, it's great to have you on. And as Glenn was saying, this is a newer part of the interview where we are getting more into the studios. Following you, we're going to be next week interviewing Clark Rigsby and the studio he has going on. But with you, I just want our listeners and people who are watching, just to get to know this friendship that we have and your connection with the Valley, because it's pretty intense and everything. And so I've had a fun time getting to know you. I guess basically the first place I want to start is when we would cross paths over at the Hayden Square Amphitheater back at the time, before you were engineer or whatever. You were a lead guitar player in the band. Am I saying it right? Wise Monkey Orchestra.
For a time, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
that band
you know,
was
bounced
so
around quite a bit.
that band was so much fun. They eventually relocated to San Diego, right?
They have, but the primary team, Chad Stewart and his wife, have since moved back to Phoenix.
Oh, they have.
They're back here. Yeah,
Are they
yeah,
still playing?
yeah. They are not too frequently, but they are. I talk to him quite a bit.
Well,
He's
we
a,
have to
a
get
good
them.
old friend.
We have to get them on the show here and talk about.
Yeah, they'd
So
be good.
so let's go back to the roots of your connection with the Valley. I wanted to talk about your father. Tell us his story.
My father was in television, and I grew up in my younger years in Northern California. He got a job here with the NBC station and moved the family down here. So I went to high school here, um, but he was quite a character. I, he's been gone for 22 years, and I still have people come up to me and tell me stories about. I remember one time your dad did this or did that, or he
Yeah.
was always wing walking or doing some crazy stuff. So yeah,
And what channel was the station that he was?
it was Channel 12, the NBC affiliate here in Phoenix.
I remember doing a gig at your wedding reception at your house, and your
Yeah,
father brought me into the house and says, "Well, have you seen my place before?" I go, "No." So he took me on a tour of the house, the pool tables, everything like that. Uh, he reminded me a lot of my father, how, outgoing and just greeted people all the time and made them feel special. So
yeah, he did do that.
now, did you come into broadcasting because of just being around him, or was this something that was on your own?
No, but really, um, I think he would bring me down to the TV station and throw me in the studio down there, the TV studio, because you know, in my teen years, I was getting into a little bit of trouble, and he thought, well, I'm just going to take you down here and keep you away from your bad influence friends. Of course, none of it was my fault, but just started hanging out down there in the summers, and started running cameras and started doing news stories and just kind of absorbed it. Music was always my number one thing. And a lot of times I'd go down there and I'd take my guitar with me and I'd just sit in the studio when no one was around and just play. But that's how I got into the broadcast side of things, so I've kind of had a dual uh, profession.
Well, you're still in almost that same kind of dual profession when you're running your studio here in Arizona, and then you're out on the road with, is it ESPN or things like that?
Yeah, it's ESPN, NBC, ABC, whoever calls us, really.
And
So, and that's a whole separate that's a whole separate conversation, I would think. But I do a lot of work with these guys that do specialty cameras for golf or entertainment shows, the Grammys and stuff like that. So we go out for a week and we build these systems and then do the show and then we just come home. So it's once a month or something like that.
okay, see, this is one thing about Sean. He makes it sound simple, nonchalant, and everything. This man's a rock star, okay? This man is a rock star in the industry, and it's a pleasure to have him in the Valley. And it was the reason why I chose to do my 1 year, decade-long project of recording at his studio, which went over two locations because you moved out of the one and into this one right here during the whole
Right.
process of time. What's that?
Well, to our credit, we did start your record right about 8 months or a year before the pandemic hit.
Yes, yes.
So we got shut down for, I don't know, 6, 8 months, and then, if you recall, I moved into a different building, and then everything just got so slow because we were bringing people in the back door, wearing our masks, and they'd never come into the control room. We'd never go into the live room, and we kept everybody separated. I'd leave an envelope with a check in the other room for them, and they'd come in and play parts and leave. So we weren't fast either, but we were hampered by the pandemic. I'm blaming it on that.
Hey, Sean, is there a camera that could be developed that would make Walt look a little bit more, just better generally? Is there a certain lens or
Friendlier.
something that can be fabricated that would?
Hey, Glenn, it's the same lens I'm using on you on my computer. It's called the ugly filter.
I'm just
Filters.
wondering. I mean, it's a camera, and we're doing video now, so I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I will
We
tell
can
you that
just roll everything out of focus.
his studio is amazing, and the technique that he uses to record. I really appreciate because the man has an incredible ear. And on my project, we were teamed up with Gigi Gonaway, who was Mariah Carey's drummer for 15 years. And the two of them, they basically are a team. And Gigi's in town. It's remarkable what they brought out. They hit the mark in terms of they said the goal was with my EP, in terms of how they wanted the mix to happen. And so I'm really happy with that. Well, I'm not going to talk about the CD right at this
Well,
point in time.
that's probably the other reason that it took us so long, is having the three of us in the room together, because Gigi and I work a certain way, and I'm, for better or worse, extremely picky on sounds and timing, and Gigi is the same. So
Yeah.
we ended up re-recording pretty much everything half a dozen times. We'd get guitars or something to where we thought we liked it, and then the next week we're listening and we just go, yeah, it's perfect, but it's just not,
Yeah.
doesn't feel right. Let's do it
Yeah.
again. Scrap it all, and we'd redo everything. So,
And it also find instruments. What was that? In What Happens to Me, the instrument you brought in, that it was just guitar and was it a
oh,
clarinet or
um, uh, uh, a
or
bass
the
clarinet.
bass clarinet?
Jay
And
Marshall played the bass
it
clarinet.
just in a few places in the song, and it just made the whole thing. It brought a mood to the song that the song actually needed. So I appreciate that. Where is your studio located?
We are on Hatcher Road, right behind John C. Lincoln Hospital, really. We back right up to the hospital
That's
there.
convenient for you, Walter.
That wasn't an accident.
That's convenient. How many times during the recording did he have to go, get some
Mental.
gauze or something?
Look here. They were called mental breaks.
Yeah, I just have to say though, you gave me a copy of that, Walt.
Under the Moon.
Into the Moon, and
Under the Moon. Yeah.
it is a really really nice sounding production. I mean, it is just it's a joy to listen to, and everybody obviously did a great job on it because, and I think when I got it, Walt, and you gave it to me, I immediately listened to it, and I'm like, well, this is, you can just tell when something is kind of a cut above, because everybody had a great fingerprint on that thing that was involved.
Well, that
So,
was actually the goal that Gigi and Sean set for the project. And I had to go through training because I hadn't been in the studio for a long time. So I was used to live performance. We were doing so many takes, and they were pushing me to the limit. And but it worked. When we got it all put together, it became seamless. But it was nice working with these people because they could hear things I didn't even know were audible in
Well,
the
you can't
music.
hear anyway, so
Yeah, well, it's I
it's a tough room here.
I know it's tough.
I know you can't hear because when you adjust my mic for me, I don't know what's going on. I'm usually
Well,
here.
let's get it right from a guy who knows sound better than than us three here. Is Walt as deaf as we have come to realize, Sean, or is this just something Jamie Ray is making up?
Don, come on.
Well, I'll just say that we're lucky that we got huge speakers and we can turn up the headphones really loud.
Mm-hmm. That's
Hey,
what I. That was very diplomatic, a very nice answer.
hey, Sean. Okay,
Don, we're going to be great friends.
Jamie Ray. Um, she's got her little segment coming up here
Here we
probably
go.
next. She likes a particular microphone. You see that logo in the background, Desert Vibes, that
You're
microphone that's on
55.
top of the cactus? That's what she comes to the live gig with. Okay. Now, I saw you had all kinds of microphones, and I think you had something, a replica like that, and you You had all your microphones in, the cabinet, the lock and key and everything. And I think that one was the one I saw at the front door as a doorstop. I think she likes to bring that anchor to the gig and sing through it and expect somebody to, make her sound good. And
No, I don't need anybody to make me sound
oh,
good.
so you're
I
gonna
just
love
need
having her
someone
in
to
the
help me
studio.
be louder.
Yeah, I'm sure you love it in the studio, Sean, when someone comes with their own mic. That must be that's always a
Oh,
treat.
he's got stories.
That's a treat.
He has
Well,
got
this is
stories.
the one that
Lots of stories.
was used by Howlin' Wolf in 1922, and I want this particular sound of this, and hers is like, it's one that Elvis would have used, but it's a knockoff, like a Chinese
Not a
knockoff
knockoff.
of,
It's
of
a
an Elvis
Timu. It's a
mic.
Timu knockoff
Yeah,
of
it
a
is. It
microphone.
is. It
It's
is.
about this big.
Okay, this is Sean's interview. So Sean, I
Even
have
with
some
even with
questions
all the
for you.
tariffs, it was $1.98.
Sean, I have some questions for you. So I'm really interested in the studio. Like when someone wants to come in to your studio, like what should they expect from Three Leaf Recording when they come in to record with you?
Bring some Irish
Uh,
whiskey.
They expect first of all Walt to not be there. So
Yeah.
what's next?
um, you know, um, I, I I like to talk to people at length. I like to hear what they're doing before we even kind of really decide to work together. Um, as we mentioned before, just the way I work, I'm, I drive people crazy. I'm extremely nitpicky about sounds, and I stop people in the middle of songs and have them retune, and even though it sounds like it's perfectly in tune to them, I'll hear it and I'm just like, I can't do this. So if I don't feel like we're gonna be a good fit, if I don't want to butt heads with people. It should be the recording experience should be
Hmm.
fun, and I don't want things. This sounds arrogant, but I don't want things that leave here that I'm not proud of. And a
All
lot of
right.
times, if I'm not producing, I don't get to make decisions that I think would better the song, and then it leaves here, and I just think, I never want to hear that song again because it
Yeah.
didn't turn out the way it could have.
So
So
you
I
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I want to be on the same page with people and have a great working relationship and be open to ideas, transferring both directions. Um, if that's not what they're interested in, if they say, look, I know exactly how I want it. I
Mm.
wrote the song 10 years ago and I've been playing for 10 years and I just want to do, I kind of say, well, you know what? Maybe you should try these guys because they might be a better fit for you,
Well, that's good though. I mean, you shouldn't work on something if it doesn't feel comfortable, I think. And so you don't
Well,
produce
everything
everything.
that leaves your it reflects. The last thing I want is someone to take a song somewhere and play it for people and people go, God, where'd you record that sounds like
Right.
crap. That's not what I want.
Right, I get that. So what's something musicians don't understand about producers? Probably a lot.
A lot. I just read, I don't know where I read it. It was maybe on Instagram or something, but and I'm not even sure who it was, but they said that the what was the most overrated person in a production is a producer. They don't do anything, and I just thought,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, this person has no idea, has never been with somebody who does it right. And
Right.
I think part of that, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, is that back in the day, a producer was someone that would surround the artist with a band if it was an individual, kind of like a conductor in an orchestra that the conductor plays every instrument and can read every instrument, all the B flat instruments. A producer was usually someone that always at least played piano and had a deep understanding of music, knew the players, knew arrangements, did all that. And it's kind of morphed today, at least the young people, my kids included, when they talk about a producer, that's the guy that sat on the computer and put the beat together.
Mm.
And that the name producers kind of changed. So when we
Mhm.
talk about hip hop and that kind of stuff, the producer is the guy that made the beat, not necessarily a musician or somebody that can read or plays an instrument. So I think there's that side of it. But I get, one of the first things I will do is Walt can tell you stories, but we would try every song at 20 different tempos. Let's speed it up 4 beats per minute. Let's slow it down 4 beats. Let's do that. Let's try a different key, that's somewhere that's right in your wheelhouse. So I don't think that happens as much anymore. So that's probably one of the first things, if I say, hey, I love what you're doing. Let's work together. We'll sit down before we even turn anything on or get any microphones out and start playing, going through arrangements. Why is the intro 32 bars? That's half the song. Let's cut that out, or just simple things like that. And a lot of times people go, oh, I don't know, it's just how I've always played it. I never thought about it.
Yeah.
Let's shorten this. So all those things happen before we even start, thinking about recording.
So do you prefer live tracking or building a song layer by layer?
It depends on the music, and it depends on the players for me. I find that a lot of bands want to track live. It's romantic and nostalgic, and the Stones and everybody did it. But that was back in a different time when people rehearsed for weeks and weeks and weeks before they went to the studio. So a lot of times, they come in and we end up retracking stuff individually later on at a different time because things aren't quite in time. But it depends on the band and the players.
Yeah. I have just a few more questions because these guys are never going to let me talk again. So I'm going to get them out before they take over on me. Have you ever had a session go completely off the rails? You don't have to give names or anything, but has there ever been anything that was just, yeah, I know it was Walt. That's why I said I don't need to give names. But
many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that hard to deal
with?
with? I mean, I'm sure you probably just want to pull your hair out sometimes. I'm a musician and I've been in the studio, and I know me, so I can only imagine on your.
Well, musicians are fickle creatures, and I've had bands come in where there's a struggle for power and a fight breaks out, between members of the band, fist fights.
Oh my gosh.
People overdoing the recreational items they bring in and passing out in the studio. There's been a lot. I've asked, people to leave a number of times, and there's, I think that just goes with the territory.
Yeah, it does with musicians.
I've heard a million times producers say that half of the job is being a psychotherapist,
a babysitter.
An engineer. Yeah, a babysitter. Yeah.
So I've got some rapid fire questions for you. So just answer what comes first. Analog or digital?
Analog.
Perfect take or perfect vibe?
Vibe.
You guys are gonna kill me on this one. One mic you can't live without. Just say mic.
I think like Neumann U87. That'd be my. If I only could take one to the desert island, that would be it.
Okay, well, that was going to be my next one. Desert island instrument.
Instrument. Well, for me, an acoustic guitar.
Nice. And one album everybody should study. Don't say Walt.
Now I got to think of something else. That's a hard one for me to answer because, as you know, there's a gazillion albums out there and everyone's so great for so many different reasons. But for me, personally, there is a band called, Walt and I would listen to this, and Gigi and I would listen. I take from this band a lot. There's a band out of San Francisco, and they did 2 records. Only one really came out, called Jellyfish. And everything was recorded analog, and there's tubas and stuff, and it's incredible pop songwriting, incredible. Every one of the guys sings, and just the production on it is unbelievable. If you're just looking for a good vibe, that's not it. If you're really wanting to hear something that put on some good headphones and sit down and listen to this whole record. And it's amazing. It's like these greatest pop songs you've ever heard. And then like with Queen influences and the Beach Boys harmonies and all this stuff going on. And it's, it's pretty incredible. So.
Okay. One more question and I'm done. So nice to meet you. For a band like the Blindsiders, like us, for the band like the Blindsiders, we thrive on live energy a lot. So how would you capture that in a studio?
I would start with tracking everyone live. It depends on, how many instruments and all that. If we can get isolation between all the instruments, yet still have all the members of the band together, in the same room. Putting guitar amps in isolation booths and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bands that just they're not quite the same if they're not all in the same room, just playing together, as a unit. So I would start with that, even if I knew that later on we're going to have to come back and do maybe some stuff over. I would still do everything live to begin with. Everybody plays differently. The drummer, if he's looking at the bass player and the guitar player and the sing, he's going to play differently than if he's sitting in a room by himself with headphones.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's true.
I would suggest that you just say to the Blindsiders, perhaps you should choose a different studio.
See?
Rough crowd.
What?
It is a rough
I'm
crowd.
just, saving everybody a little bit of time and effort here. That's all.
I have a quick question for you, Sean. Are you able to record both analog and digital at your studio?
We're limited analog to 8 tracks at a time.
And do you use that and then fold it into the final project if you have to do, or does that work?
Yeah, a lot of times, if we're layering instruments, and we're talking about getting more of an analog kind of sound, we'll record it analog, maybe a drum kit analog, and then we dump it into the system, or we'll take tracks that maybe sound harsh and we don't want to just use plugins or EQ to warm them up. I'll take those tracks, send them out to a tape machine, and bring them back in. So it's really digital, but going through analog. Going across analog tape at some point.
A lot of people are starting to do that kind of thing anyway, right? A
lot of times the final mix, the 2-track stereo mix, we'll send out to a tape machine and bring it back just to give it that little bit of warmth.
Yeah. One of the things that we talked about in conversations is the goal of Three Leaf recording studios. He had mentioned that too often you would hear products going out onto the national level out of studios, and they really aren't national level recordings in terms of the industry and the ears that are in the industry. And you wanted to your studio to be something that was a cut above, that when people walked out, they could go into different markets and drop the project down, and they can say, "Oh, this is something this is the results that we all try to go for in terms of like the LA scene, the Memphis, Nashville, and everything." And I think that you accomplished that, but it comes at a lot of a cost. It comes at a cost because you have to have the kind of studio musicians that are available in like the Laurel Canyon kind of thing. You got to have those kind of in-house musicians, and you do have access to that. Can you don't have to name names, but can you talk about that aspect of what your studio offers when a songwriter comes in and says, "Hey, I got these songs, but I don't have players"?
Sometimes it's an uncomfortable conversation with an artist when I like a song and I think the song's got a lot of potential, but maybe they can't play the instrument the way it needs to be played. And it's kind of a tap dance to try and go. I wasn't going to say you.
I don't know how many
times you heard me say it, and it's like, let's get the right person for the job.
Yes.
And I know the right person. So
Yes.
why wouldn't we bring them in? I get so many artists that go, well, I'm not really a piano player, but my sister's boyfriend dabbles in it. Maybe I'll bring him in to play some piano. And you just go, well, how about if we bring like the best guy in town that's a
Yes.
great session guy? What about that? So that's always a hard thing to do. And I get it. It's an ego thing. You're taking an instrument out of artists, out of their hands, really. But, in the end, don't you want it to sound as good as it can possibly be?
Hey,
And
well, when
for
the
me, the answer
Beatles
is,
were doing "While My Guitar Gently Weeps," they went and got Eric Clapton to do the lead on it. It just, I think that's a great that's just a great benefit of using a great studio is what that studio can bring. And you talked about, I read that same article, by the way, about producers, and it really rubbed me the wrong way because I started thinking about crazy people like Phil Spector, but was a great producer. George Martin. What would the Beatles be without George Martin? I mean, these folks really form, along with the artist, the sound. So, I was just, one thing, it's huge right now in the recording world is kind of this push-pull between what we can do and what we should do. With AI now, there is a lot you could do. Literally, I'm amazed every day when I take a look at what's available, how things are progressing. So I guess, how do you feel about things like auto-tune and imperfection? Because I always think it's sometimes the imperfection in a mix or in a recording that actually adds something to it. We didn't anticipate. I was listening to something. I think it was Robert Plant was saying in "Whole Lot of Love." There's that little echo thing that happens way down, way down. Someone had left a piece of gear on by accident, and when they went back and listened to it, they were like, someone immediately said, "Oh shit, that thing. We need to take that out." And it was like, wait a minute. I don't think we need to take that out. So what about all this stuff about what you can do and what you should do? And how do you feel about auto-tune and, very exacting click tracking and things like that?
I feel like I like people to play to a click track if it's a band. I don't need them to be 100% on the click. They never will be. That's not what that click track's for. It's just to kind of keep them within the guardrails. I want them to be ahead of the beat sometimes and be behind the beat sometimes, and that's what gives it that vibe. But especially nowadays, when we're adding different instruments, if there's no click and the drummer may tend to speed up throughout the song like most do, it's hard for a horn section to come in and catch that groove. It's like, well, you're 8 dB or 8 BPM faster at the end of the song. So that's what I like about working on a grid. It makes it so much easier later. As far as auto-tune, back to Jamie Ray's question, I much rather have a great take or a great line that just maybe they came in a little late, or maybe the voice had a little bit of a crack that adds that. So I don't want to mess with that. Normally I would do another take, but if we've got that, I might tune that a little bit if it needs it. We always say, well, just give it a little nudge. If it's flat, we'll just pump it up there. I'm 100% against slapping auto-tune across a vocal. So what I will do is, once I get what I like, the feel and the groove and the vibe that has been put down, then I'll just go through. And if there's something offensive that's sharp or flat, I'll fix it, and I never usually fix it perfect. It may always just be a little bit flat because you can hear that. That being said, now with so many artists just putting auto-tune across everything, I think you hear flat and sharp notes a lot more than you would have, 20 years ago, just because everything is so perfect. But that's not a bad thing either. It's that style of music. I've had artists that come in and they'll go in the booth and do a vocal take, and they want me to tune it before they even come into the control room and listen. Um,
Wow.
they don't want to hear them
You
not
you
being
can go
heard.
ahead and say that that was Walt. I mean, that's okay.
Hey, look,
We know each other well.
I'll tell you what was me. It was singing those parts over and over and over again. It was them catching vowel sounds, elongating things, and then they would we do one small section of a song, and they would stop it, and then Gigi and Sean would listen to it, and they would be on a discussion. I could see them through the glass, and then they would come back out. I would be there like, "Hey, you guys, I'm in here."
Well, you'd be over at the
and and
hospital at that
and then
point.
and then they would say, try this other part, but be a little bit more breathy, or get up to it, enunciate it. And I made the comment. I said, dude, you guys, I can't even sing my own songs right now. I can't even sing them correctly, you know.
And
But
anyway,
but
Have you ever
when
done that, Sean, where actually the artist who wrote the song, you say, you know what? Along with someone else playing it, perhaps we should get someone else in here to sing it.
well, that probably happened.
As a matter of fact, we have. And Walt, just so you know, Walt, most of the time when you go through the glass and see G and I talking, we're trying to figure out what we're going to order for dinner or lunch or whatever it was, you know. But yeah, to answer your question, Glenn, and I will name names, and Walter was a part of this, but I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago, I had a friend come to me who was the late Attorney General for the state of Arizona, Grant Woods, and he was a Renaissance man. We lost him a few years ago. He wrote plays, he wrote books, and he was a huge music fan. And excuse me, he loved songwriters that wrote stories, Chris Christopherson and those kind of guys, Dylan. And he came in with 8, 10 songs, and we talked about what he wanted to accomplish, and we quickly came to the conclusion that he probably wasn't the person that should be singing them. And as he got more excited about the project, and that's what the title of it ended up being, the project, we decided, since he was born and raised and lived Arizona through and through, that let's get Arizona-based artists. Each song will be sung by a different artist. Walter did a great one. We had, for me, it was like being in a candy store. I'm like, oh, let's get this guy to do this one and this lady to do this one, and it was great. So we had Walt, Nils Lofgren played on it. Alice Tatum sang a song. Hans Olsen, Lawrence Zubia. I'm trying to think who else we had on that. It was
wasn't
it was amazing. Blaine Long did a song.
and
So we could kind of pick the song, and we'd kind of go through and do
not
demos of every song, and then figure out the person that would best represent that
Michael
song. And
Nitro was on it, wasn't he? Michael
Nitro
Nitro.
was on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to think. Al Ortiz was on there. He
Yeah.
was singing.
Yeah.
Ray
It was,
Herndon did a
yeah,
song.
that's right.
Yeah, it was great. But to answer your question, Glenn, yeah, when Grant came in with his guitar, it was one of those things, and I'm sure he would laugh because I would give him grief about it all the time. But he'd write the words out first and then play the chords, and things weren't necessarily in time because he'd get to 4, and instead of going back to 1, he still had more words left to sing. So it would go maybe a 5-beat bar or a 6-beat bar, and then come
Hey,
back.
whatever.
So just so anyway, we had a great time, and we had great artists and great Arizona people on that. And we ended up at the time my kids were going to Arizona School for the Arts downtown. Grant had a daughter going there, and their funding had been cut, and so we decided to do a show. We did a show at the Orpheum Theater with everybody, and all that money went to Arizona School for the Arts, so they could get the instruments that were cut.
That's very cool,
oh,
and that's like pure Arizona. That's a great story. Guys, we should probably wrap here and start talking about the events. But as is usual, we've
I
scratched the surface.
I have one more question, the big question. What's your take on the Arizona scene as compared to the scene out there and why you choose to base yourself here in Arizona.
Well, I'm
Because
not
we're
so
the
much out.
blindsiders.
Exactly. That's why I'm here. The blindsiders.
See? I'm gonna get that on
Silly
film,
question.
Sean.
Um, yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize the talent that's in this town or in the state. You know, um, Walt, as you know, we've got a lot of friends up in Prescott, and I'm amazed at how many great artists are in Prescott, Arizona. Great players. Like you said before, Walt, you know, there's an abundance of incredible musicians, studio musicians that I use here that just, you know, every time we work together, they blow my mind. Um, and they kind of, you know, this is not a scene where if you want to make a living solely as a session musician, you could do it. It's not that kind of a town. So all these folks have their jobs and they do whatever, but they're incredible. Um, and and that's what keeps me going, you know, is getting the 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 right people in here, and it doesn't happen enough. But you know, having a studio full of great musicians is, for me, there's nothing better, you know, than being part of that. So, and there's no shortage of great musicians around here.
Well, I want to thank you for your time today. And like all these interviews, there's going to be a part two. And there hasn't been a guest yet where we said we're just getting into the story. So we will be circling back
Well,
to
there was
you.
that session we
To
focused on Jamie Ray.
yeah, that was we used that
We
as
had
a clip.
enough there.
It was a clip.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for sharing your story with the listeners and the people viewing the podcast and everything. So we're gonna, on this note, we're gonna kind of like move into the space where we have to just say, "I'll see you soon, man."
I'll see you real soon because I want to come tour your studio. And if you ever need a session singer, I love doing studio work.
Yeah, she'll bring her own
she's
mic.
good.
You'll have a blast.
She's good. She's good. I'll give you that. This woman
She
is
is good.
Yeah.
She is good.
Thank
But
you.
man,
Well,
she is work. She
Thank
is
you.
work.
She's a piece of
Well,
work.
Work.
come down anytime you want. You're
Uh,
always
uh,
welcome. Of course,
and what
everybody.
your
Thank you
hours?
guys
Your
for having
hours
me.
of your studio is your regular hours, or is it?
Yeah,
They,
midnight to
Oh,
8
whenever,
a.m., regular
whenever.
studio hours.
And those are my hours.
See?
yeah.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you, Sean. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was great.
All right, we'll
Catch
see
you
you soon.
soon. That was awesome.
Yeah, dude. I
Definitely
tell
have
you,
to have him back. We say that every time.
we say that every time because it's
Yes, we do.
this because all of the people that we know, we could sit and talk for hours with,
Most.
and it
Most.
would
Not
be
all. Most.
most people we know, and so that's a beautiful thing, and
It is.
it's if it's quote a problem, it's a nice problem to have where you
It is.
don't get all the information out that you want to get out. But then their link is over there available for them. Their link is in the podcast as well,
Yep.
and people can reach out and get information and learn about them more and learn about the community. I like what he said at the end, where he talked about the session musicians that are out here. They're holding down other jobs and everything because the music scene is great in terms of what's out here, the talent, but at the same time, it's not the kind of scene where people can just sit down and be a session musician
Yeah.
because it's a different pace out
Yeah.
here.
Well, there were really two. I think there are only three places where that really happens, and it's because the business is located
Yeah,
there. It
yeah.
would be Nashville,
Nashville.
LA, and New York. And I mean,
Yeah.
that is basically, if you're going to be that,
Yeah.
I think you got to be that there because that's where the business is. It doesn't mean that, there's lesser talent in other places. It
Yeah.
just
Right.
means that's not the nexus of that, of that world.
Some of the people who are folks that are living just being session musicians, they're located here, but they're recording parts from projects that are sent to them from around the world, and they get paid from recording it at their place, at their studio. They put bass lines or drum lines to a song and send it off and make $1 million like
Yep.
that, that kind of thing. Uh, but we have access to those same people live.
Hmm.
So they can come into the studio, learn your tune. You get to meet them and get on that kind of like Southwest vibe with folk, and then you get a surprisingly wonderful, warm project and a nice little connection from working with these folks, and that's what I find happened at that studio, which is what I look forward to going back and work on the next project. But I can tell our listeners that upcoming we have another recording artist that has a studio here in Tempe, and the same goes for him. And we will get to that when we get to Clark Rigsby on. He's got a fantastic
Oh, yeah,
story
it's the next
of
show, I
history.
think, isn't it?
That's the next show
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
up. So on to the next part. What you got, Jamie?
Hey, everybody, this is the Desert Vibe, and we're coming to you live, loud, and
There we
local.
go.
I have got some great news out here in Florence, in Pinell County. The Road to Country Thunder is Saturday, April 3rd. Is that the 3rd? I think it is. April 3rd or 4th. It's the 4th.
Fourth.
The
Fourth.
4th, Saturday, April 4th, is the Road to Country Thunder. There are some great acts that are going to be playing, and then they're going to be telling you who's going to Country Thunder to play on the other stages. But the kickoff is this week for Country Thunder, which is the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th, I believe. It's Thursday through Sunday, that
Okay.
second week of April. But there's local bands, national touring acts, of course. It's Country Thunder. But on Saturday, April 4th, you're going to want to go. It's free to attend. They do have a clear bag policy because it's a huge event out in Florence. Multiple country bands are going to compete live, and the crowd favorite is the winner and gets a slot at Country Thunder. So it's going to be great. And you notice I didn't say the Blindsiders will be there. Walt
Yeah.
looked bored. But the main festival for Country Thunder is April 9th through the 12th. I know there's still tickets available. It's always a big event. Lainey Wilson will be there, Brooks and Dunn, Zach Top, Gavin Addock. It's out at Canyon Moon Ranch. But just to get the local artists, they will be there April 4th, and there's some great local artists that are
How
going
many how many stages are out there at that Country
at
Thunder?
Country Thunder.
Yeah.
I think there's three, the
Three.
main stage and then two little ones.
Okay.
Um, or there might just be one little one this year. I know there's at least two, yeah. But and then the winner will get to play on that stage. But it's a great event, and there's some great local bands that show up for the Battle of the Bands out there. So
I think out here in Arizona, uh, when you say country music, you can get a idea of a certain kind of uh, genre or niche. But when you look out at across the nation, what's happening in country music itself, these are some really, really talented songwriters coming through there,
yeah,
of like all genres, almost like all ethnicity or whatever,
yes, it is. Yeah.
especially black singer songwriters
Oh
stepping out
yeah.
onto the scene, male and female artists, and they're killing it.
Hmm.
Well,
They're
country has
killing it.
kind of morphed into the new pop. I mean,
In a way,
really,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, some of it has. Yeah.
Some of
it
it,
used
some
to
of
be, where you thought of it as being, rural and kind of Yahoo stuff, but
yeah,
they've really polished up what country is, and I think if you kind of look at what's charting,
yeah.
basically, there's a lot of quote unquote country that's
Yeah.
Well,
there.
it seems like bluegrass and country and something like and blues a little bit have kind of like had an affair,
Yeah.
and these blends are coming in that you kind of like, well, that sounds like this or that, and then it draws you into looking at that genre, either going down to the roots of bluegrass or going down
Yep.
into the roots of uh, a Delta blues kind of thing, or going into the roots of some of these country tunes that were just sung on the porch, you know.
Yeah.
It,
In
it,
the
it just,
country songs, even the newer ones, even when you talk about pop country, there's always the storytelling. I know that is with a
yeah,
lot of music, but it really is the basis of, the country music, especially old school country. I mean, you play the record backwards, you get your dog back, your wife, you get sober, you get your money back, all that good stuff happens in the country music.
Jamie, how did you come up with that one? That's a good one. You must have heard
So
that somewhere.
I did. Well, I did. My dad used to say it. So
Oh God, that is great. I love it.
So yeah, so I'm gonna pass it on to you guys, but the
Okay.
Road to Country Thunder is kicking off this weekend with that event. It's from 3 to 10 out in downtown Florence. So come on out and see us. I'll be there. I'll be there.
See her.
Passing out my cards because
Yes,
I'm
you
gonna be
will.
on that stage next year.
There are
Yeah, you
trees that
will.
still need killing. So,
There are.
Jesus,
There are.
dear.
Well, they're building houses, so I got to do something with the
there you
trees.
go.
Right.
I'll
There you
take it.
go. Right. So, okay, over here in Tempe, what's live, loud, and local? I have to send out an apology for people who have been listening to the prior podcast where I've been announcing the Reggae Fest on the wrong weekend.
We just
Not
want
only
y'all out in Tempe every
not
weekend.
every weekend and, and the wrong month, and stuff. So, what did happen on the weekend that I was announcing the reggae festival prior is the Hawaiian festival went by right up under the radar, and I thought that was the stage for the reggae thing. So, sorry about that, folks. My apologies. So the Reggae Fest is actually going to be happening weekend after next. It's like the weekend of the 15th or something like that of this month. And the reason I know that is because it's
Because
during
you
the
were wrong
tax season.
already.
Because I've been wrong already during the tax season. And I think the weather's going to be a little bit nicer than what it was on the weekends that I've been announcing it before, because it got hot for a minute right out here in the desert.
Mm,
Nobody wanted to be on stage at
no.
4 in the afternoon,
And I was.
Yeah, but the weather's going to be nice, and that one's still on the calendar. And I don't know if tickets are still available. I think they are, but you have to get the VIP tickets. I think that's time is running out for that. So it's going to be a nice event, and that's what is it called? Reggae Rise Up or something of this nature. And it's a tour that goes across the nation. It's in Florida. It'll be in California, but Arizona is one of the stops, and I'm glad that it stops right here in Tempe. So enjoy that. Get all the information for it and enjoy that.
And check the date
Check the date.
2, 3, 4, 5 times just to
You
make
know
sure
what?
it's not actually the barbershop quartet
You
stage
know,
that's
I
happening
think
out there
you know,
this weekend or something. I don't know. But live, loud, and local here in Central and West. There's a ton going on. As far as big stuff happening, Bruno Mars is going to be bringing his romantic tour to State Farm Stadium April 14th, and this guy is someone that I. It's funny. There was a period of time where I thought that, well, maybe good music is just taking a little bit of a hiatus. And then certain kids at that point come along and do exactly what Walt was talking about a little bit earlier and take this synthesis of all these different blends of music. And this guy grew up in Hawaii. He's got a Jewish grandfather, a Puerto Rican mother or father or something. And, all these things come together and form something new and something really good. And when I first heard his stuff and then heard the Silk Sonic stuff, I said, my God, this guy has taken the best of what James Brown had and the best of the Spinners and all this, beautiful 70s soul music and
Yeah.
synthesized it in with with what's happening right now, and look what happens. This guy's filling stadiums and is like the number one streaming artist out there. So we're fortunate, I think, to get this tour coming through.
Mm.
So April 14th, I'm not sure if there are tickets left, at this particular point in time or not. But that would be a heck of a show to see because this guy also knows how to put on a show. He's watched all these people that we're talking about, and again, he can dance like James Brown, and he can move, and it's a show. So that's happening at State Farm Stadium over here on the west side. Mellencamp is only doing, I think, maybe 20 dates, and he's doing all his old stuff, which he hasn't done in quite a while. He's gonna sing all that, and he's gonna be a talking stick on August 9th. So there's a couple of biggies that are happening along with other stuff. We've also got a plethora of open mics over here. We got Kimmy's on Tuesday night. That one Jordy hosts, and that's over on Bell Road. The Eagles do something on Wednesdays, and that's over in Glendale, and that's more of a jam. That's a great thing. Horse and Hide with Cole Clark, and if you like country music, that one kind of leans in more on the countryside, and that's a fun one. That's Wednesday night, 7 to 10.
Where's that one?
Horse and Hide is
Horse and Hide.
Yeah, is it? It's like Indian School and 38th,
Okay.
I think, if I remember right.
I know where it is now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice country club. Fatso's been going on for a long time. Eric Ramsey used to host that one. He's since passed it along to somebody else, but that one's Thursday nights. That's over at Thunderbird and 32nd. Fiddler's Dream, been there forever. That is an all acoustic venue. No mics, no mic stands, no cables. It's you, your guitar, and if you want an interesting experience, when you strip all that away, it's just different, and that's kind of cool. So that happens on Thursday nights. Cactus Cloud in Central Phoenix is Fridays, 7 and 9. That's over on Monroe, right downtown. And that's just kind of sampling of what's going on. Enchiladas is Monday night. I host that one. That's a dreamy draw in the 51 out that way. And North Mountain Brewing, which is almost next door actually to where Sean is over there in Sunny Slope, and that's on Tuesday nights. Coyote Odie's is a brand new listening room, and it's phenomenal. That is second and fourth Thursdays, and I think they're going to go to every week, maybe starting in May, because that's catching nicely. And Clydeen Balke hosts that one. So there's just lots happening all over town. And
Hey, the Blindsiders are playing at North Mountain.
They are. How the heck did that happen?
I don't know. They love us.
How did
When
that
is that
happen?
date?
April 11th.
Oh,
Coming right up.
cool.
Sure is. The
Is it the
trio.
duo? Is the
The
trio?
trio.
Yeah.
Fancy. Yeah.
I'll be mixing that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can leave your microphone at home for that gig,
Well,
Jamie Ray.
that's not going to happen.
All right then, bring some cards. But
Oh, I will.
live, loud, and local. That's what's going on here in West and Central and North. And now it is the time of the program where Walt says something highly profound and provocative.
Right.
And we get to wave and say bye bye.
Yes, indeed. Hey, I just got a text message from Sean, and he was saying that he said he was thanking us and wanted to thank all of you for he said he had a great time and it was just a lot of fun. And so, thank you, Sean.
That's nice.
I want to thank all
Yeah,
of
I
our.
just got a text message from him, said he needs a singer immediately. So I got to get rolling here so I can
I just
get
got a
down.
text message from saying lose my number.
That I believe.
Ricky, please lose that
Lose my number.
So I just would like to thank all of our people checking in on the podcast. We certainly appreciate it, and just giving you a little idea of what's happening here in Arizona in the music scene and the culture, showing a light in the stories that happen in this area of the states. So I'm Walt Richardson, and we got Glenn Gardner, and we got Jamie Ray. Until we meet again, you be good to one another, and let's give peace a chance. All right? Take care.